Functions. Functions are block of code that accepts any number of input objects called parameters or arguments and can return output objects to their callers. So you declare a function according to here, for example, function has a general syntax here. So this is a function. In this is the main function which when we run this program, the main function executes. So let's declare a function. So in order to declare a function, you have to declare the return type firstly. So as you can see here, in this case, the integer main is this main function has a return type integer. So it has to return the integer variable. For example, we can't return any string here because this is the integer. We have to return integer. For example, like 1, 0, -1, or like that, or negative 999. So, for example, we first have to define return type, and then we need to define our function name. For example, my super function, my super function. And after that, you need to get the parameters from user. For example, parameter 1, parameter 2. You will learn what parameters is in next lecture. And like that, parameter 3, parameter 4, and the other way. So then you open the curly braces. You can open here or you can open here. It depends on your coding style. So and after that, you are your function codes. So your function code will run and execute when you call this function. And after that, as you know, we defined some type to return the function. So it needs to return something with that type. So in this case, after ending your code, you need to return the value, some value, return value here. And then here, let's go through it again. So the first part of the function declares is the type of the return variable. So for example, in this case, in this main case, it's integer. When the function returns a value, the types of returns value must match. So this return type must match the returning variable. So the type of return value must match the return type here. So then you declare a function's name here. So after declaring the return type, of course, a set of parentheses following the function name here, as you can see here, um, and this contains a number or comma-separated input parameters that the function requires. So each parameter also has a type and a name. Here, parameter one. In this, the main function we have parameters. So parameters represents the object passed into a function. So a set of braces following the function here list contain a function's body here. As you can see in our function body, it's integer main function body definers. So this is a compound statement that contains the function's logic. Within this logic, the function might decide to return a value, function's color. So function that return values will have one or more return statements. Once a function returns, it stops executing and the flow of the program returns to whatever called the function. So let's create an example here. For demonstration purposes, this here, let's select actually. I think you understand that, and we will go through it again. It's just a brief introduction to C++. So, for demonstration purposes, this lecture shows how to build a mathematical function called here, for example, auxiliary function that returns -2. In this case, so we will actually create a -2 function that we will return some value. So here let's write it. So we have to first define our function, for example, auxiliary function, function, and then we have to define the parameter of our function. For example, in this case is my parameter here, and then here, uh, and then we need to open our braces here, and this is our function body. So you can write your braces like that after the parameter or under the parameter. Matter it depends on your style. So let's define a variable here. I will do all of these variables here. Yeah, let's define integer here. Integer result. For example, result equals to 0 here. And if the my parameter is less than, if my parameter actually is less than 0, then then let's open braces, and then result is equals to -1. As you can see here, if my parameter is less than 0, the result will be not 0, the result will be -1 here. And then here, as you can see, result 1. As you learned in previous lecture, we have else if keyword here. We this parameter. Actually, you know it already. So else if uh, is our parameter. If our parameter, my parameter is greater than 0, then let's make result to positive 1, not to 0, positive 1. And then let's make an, so actually we don't have any, we don't have to assign any um, else here, because there is just two possibilities that can change the result of our program. So then after executing this, we have to return something, and we will return our result. So let's go through it again. uh, Here. So the step function takes a single argument here. Actually, the auxil function. Here, this is the my parameter. There is here result variable is declared and initialized to 0. The next, the if statements sets result to 0 if it is the my parameter is less than 0. And next, the if statement sets the results to -1 if x is less than 0. If my parameter is greater than 0, then if statement sets result to 1. Oops, to 1. So final, the result is returned to color. So to call or invoke a function, you use the name of the desired function, parentheses, and the comma separated list, the required parentheses. So the compiler reads files from top to bottom. So the function declaration must appear before its point of first use. For example, let's use our function in our main function here. So let's their values, my value 1, my value 1 here, and use auxiliary function here. So let's give it parameters, for example, 100. And then let's create another value, my value 2, auxiliary function, so function, example 0, and let's my value 3, auxiliary function, for example, minus 10 or minus 9, actually like this. So so this in this case we call the auxiliary function three times with different arguments and assigns the results to variables value 1, value 2, and value 3. Wouldn't it be nice if you could print these values? Fortunately, you can use the printf function to build output from different values. The trick is to use the printf format specifiers. And in next lecture, you will learn the print format specifiers, and we will continue this the functions lecture.